and grateful pranams at Bhagwan's lotus feet. When you bow in front of the orange robe, it's not just the memories that fill your mind and your heart. It is the gratitude of being called to by one who is so selfless and so elevated and so incomprehensible. And when you bow to that orange robe that you have put up there, those countless feelings, repentance, and also memories of my own inability to make full and complete use of the opportunity that Bhagwan afforded us so easily. They just totally clutter the mind. And that sweetness of the relationship that Swami allowed many Sai students and many devotees to have, and he nourished and fostered it, and he grew it as if that was his only mission. That is the only reason that I stand before you. And I thank Brother Balu in the line of jest, like Brother Guna said, I am his junior. I want to tell Brother Balu that he is my junior. And you know, this senior junior thing sounds pretty ridiculous, right? It's so many years back and it doesn't matter. But why do we still emphasize this senior junior stuff? Because the more senior you were in Swami's college, it was more than likely that you had different opportunities to see him up front, to witness those magical moments that the later generations did not have. And as we all observed this trend and this pattern, that as we got more worldly goods, as we got better hostel infrastructure and mobile phones came in, the opportunity with Sai started to fade. The opportunity with Swami began to reduce. So the senior and junior business matters in that sense, because those who were around him in those moments were incredibly blessed. Now it's another matter whether they knew it, whether they valued it, and whether they were able to, index on it, right? We have to over-index on this opportunity. Today we over-index, I don't know how many hours of political news I read, right? How many hours I waste doing every other activity. But like Brother Balu said, this retreat is an opportunity to retreat away from your regular, I don't want to say worldly, because we bring the world with us. You know, wherever we go, we carry the world with us in the form of our vasanas. So I don't want to say worldly, but our regular, conventional world that we live in, this is an opportunity, brothers and sisters, to actually dump that for a while. And like Brother Guna said, if you're interested at some point during these two talks, I would like to tell you more about how Swami has guided me personally in measuring my inner depth. When I came out of Swami's college, people sometimes would ask me, what sadhana do you do? I say, I don't do any sadhana. And I used to say it in a way as if, oh, you know, I'm Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, you know. And I know today that was totally mistaken. From the moment Swami gave me any opportunity, I should have taken that as a message, as a trigger for my inner journey. And while people, in my bio, you must have read that I spent 23 years at Bhagwan's feet. Yeah, and that was incredible. It was incredible because Not for a moment did I flinch or lose the direction, the objective, the intent and the intensity of wanting to be around Bhagwan. But the one limiting factor around those 23 years is that I believed that it was all physical. And I completely missed the point that here was an opportunity to deepen my inner journey, to start galloping in that inner journey in the presence of Satya Sai. What better opportunity could have been there? But that never occurred to me. Despite hearing closer than how you guys are to me, I was to Swami in more than 3,000 discourses. But it never occurred to me that this physical interpretation of Swami's spiritual message is what is limiting and constraining my true progress. So Swami is the name of that opportunity. For what? For transformation, for redemption, right? And it's with a lot of humility and echoing what Brother Balu said, that yes, I have a lot of experiences to share. Through those years and even through the years that before I joined Swami's college, there's a lot of stories I can tell you. They are mesmerizing, they are valuable. They are too numerous to recount in these couple of talks. So I will pick and choose, and with Swami's grace, I used to speak in front of him also many times. That was, of course, by his own choosing. And the one thing that I learned to do was to receive and process audience feedback, right? And it's very important that you remember why you are here. Yes, you spent X dollars, you drove X miles, you prioritized these things over a lot of other things you could have done. You could have mowed your yard. Of course, there is no grass in Phoenix, but you could have done a lot of other things, right? But you choose to do this. And believe me, this is the only reason I'm here. Forgetfulness and restlessness are the two big challenges that we face today. Many a time we begin doing something and we meander, we are distracted, we totally forget what is it that we started to do. So, yes, you can definitely enjoy the weather, you can definitely enjoy the opportunity to mingle, to network, but remember what is your primary objective, right? And it is those who are able to firm up in their mind that primary objective will make the best use of this opportunity. One doesn't have to become serious. One can enjoy this. There's a lot of humor in this whole journey. But I would like to challenge you that in every interaction that you have with people, even when you're talking about networking, where do you work, when did you get promoted, have you been laid off, all those things, irrespective of what you're talking, try to dwell on that Sai consciousness. And I'm telling you, from my own experience, this journey that I started by a very wayward Bombay boy, Swami used to fear when he used to, and I used to go up to him and say, Swami, I'm going home. He said, Bombay jata hai? He used to be very worried. Bombay is really the name of such a place, like New York, right? It had everything thrown in. My classmates in that St. Andrews High School that I studied were doing everything already. And I was getting buffeted and pulled in wrong directions. And so, if you want to be able to make use of your own investment, make sure that you avoid self-forgetfulness, right? Avoid self-forgetfulness. Remind yourself that this retreat and any retreat you go to is devoted to the worship of Sri Satya Sai. And I don't know how many of you read, but I constantly go back to Swami's books. They are exhilarating. They revive the goodness in you. I was reading, I have it in my bag here, Dr. John Hislop's Seeking Divinity. And there he said, and I want to share with you, he says, Swami, so finally, what is it that we need to do? Right? There are so many things. Like Brother Balu said, even keeping track of those Navavida Bhakti, 9 types of, that itself is a Sanskrit, challenge. Did I get the order right? Is Dasyam, Sakhyam, Atmanivedanam, right? Who knows? And those are all just words. Those are concepts. So he went up to Swami and he said, Swami, so what finally should we do? And what is it? Tell me one thing, Swami, that is just enough and I don't need to think anything more. And Swami said, it's enough if you put your mind on me totally. Hislop, put your mind on me totally. You don't have to navigate the scriptural puzzle. You don't have to learn Sanskrit. You don't have to learn Telugu to understand Sai Baba. You don't even have to go to Puttaparthi. And Swami told me, and I'm just sort of jumping across my resources. One day Swami told me in the interview room, we were pressing his feet. It was an hour-long conversation. About 50 boys crammed into this space. And Swami is perspiring, we are perspiring, there's just a fan whirring there. And Swami looked at me and said, Hey Mari, kidhar hai tum? Where are you? And he said, Swami, I'm in interview room. Maybe he had noticed a little, my mind was probably distracted or whatever. But see the Jagat Guru that he was. He said, Hey Mari, kidhar hai tum? Where are you? Swami, I'm in interview room. He said, yes. Remember that. Today, you are in Prashanti Nilayam. Prashanti Nilayam. Interview room is in Prashanti Nilayam. Sai Baba is in interview room. Tomorrow, Prashanti Nilayam will be in your heart. Interview room will be in your heart. Sai Baba will be in your heart. Simple enough. Simple enough. So simple that you ignore this statement of Swami. But inspiring enough, enlightening enough that you make this the mantra of your lives. Swami was constantly delivering such and many more such very vibrant, very awakening messages. Who could say this to an adolescent boy? Where are you? And use that to extrapolate a deep spiritual truth about the internal space that Swami had come to awaken us to. And I have often thought about these and many other statements, and I'll tell you how and when the journey started to change in its direction. And that, I think, is the core of my message, that we have to take these incidents, these events. Some of them get ridiculously detailed. Somebody says, at 2:30 p.m. I went to Prashanti Nilayam and I put my mat and I sat on it. And how does it matter? Right? 2:30 p.m. on, say, January 15th in 1998. How does it matter to any of us? It probably doesn't matter to the speaker also. Right? So what is it that we need to extract from those incidents? Let's ask ourselves that. I don't want to give you humongous details and make you forget the presence. When Jesus Christ passed away, why did he leave this powerful mission that has thousands and thousands of people, churches, infrastructure? Was it what he said? Was it the miracles that he performed? You know, I read so much about Jesus when I was in Parthi that one day Swami called me into the interview room with a number of Westerners, and he materialized a massive, this size ring, and he threw it to me. So I was like delighted, and that ring had the face of Jesus Christ on it. And I said, wow, maybe Swami is, rewarding me for all the time investment I made. I read so many books of Jesus Christ. The Day Christ Died, The Greatest Story Ever Told, a lot of books about St. Francis of Assisi, and so on and so forth. And Swami said, yes, you have done enough sadhana on Jesus Christ. Now give me that ring back. And he gave it to somebody else. So through those mechanisms, Swami would raise you up, push you down, and give you the message too. So I'm going to move ahead. So what is this retreat all about? And building on what Swami told John Hislop, it's enough, Hislop, it's enough if you give me your mind. Put your mind on me. Now, smart as we are, we will ask 25 questions around it, right? All the time, sometimes, all places, some places, that's not the point. Obviously, Swami knew that in this Kali Yuga, none of these people, even a great devotee like Dr. John Hislop himself, is not able to put his mind on Swami always. That's a given. But start assimilating this idea of MBA, mind on Baba always. And anyway, you walked into this trap of NAU, right? So might as well you pursue your MBA here. So mind on Baba always. Now what happened is, when we were kids around Swami, when this MBA program was coming up, somebody made an acronym called Madhur Bhakti Association. Madhur Bhakti is the highest form of bhakti that they say Radha had for Krishna. So those amongst the students who were very serious, right, chanting or doing japa or always reading Sai literature, the other students would sort of, nickname them as, oh, do you belong to Madhur Bhakti Association? So yes, we want to belong to Madhur Bhakti Association, but that is the next step of after you are able to put your mind on Baba always. And what is Baba? What is Baba? Swami himself said, I am not this physical body. While when you bow to the robe, you do feel the power and the mesmerization that you felt. But eventually, we got to move and grow our understanding to the fact that Baba, in his own words, these are not fancy acronyms we have put together. I am, Swami said, being, awareness, bliss of Atma. And it is that being that I am very, very, very mesmerized by, very magnetized by. Because in everything that we are going to talk about, even in that pushback that Swami did and that statement that he made, that today you are in Prashanti Nilayam, what was Sai Baba trying to do? What was he actually doing? So, the funny thing is, when you look at a wonderful tree, okay, you look and enjoy the shade of that tree. And you forget to think about the tree itself. Are you with me? You go to the tree. Oh, wow. How many feet must this be? How old this must be? And then you start enjoying the shade and you forget about the tree. And that is what has happened to all of us. You went to this huge, universal, cosmic tree called Sai Baba. In its shade, you forgot, in the coolness you felt there, in the happiness you felt there, in the comfort, joy, and peace that you felt there, you forgot to understand the tree. We forgot to think, oh my God, this massive tree, how did it come about? How small must have been the seed? And today, how large is this tree? How many years this tree must have borne the anguish of an angry wind? How many times must it have been hurt by animals when it was a small sapling? You forget all of that. And that is what we have to do today. If you have to put your mind on Baba always, yes, you have to enjoy the peace, the bliss, the comfort, the beauty, the loveliness of the Sai community, of course. Who has such a massive family? We all have 2, 3, 4 relatives in the US. Here we have a massive family. You don't have anything you hold back from this beautiful family. And this family exists in every city, in every state, in all of the US and in India and other countries. But that is just the outcome of that tree. Don't get so absorbed with the outcome and this little comfort that you're feeling and forget to examine, hey, what is the story of that tree? How many winters did it see? How many challenges did it face? So our job here is to go back to the tree and not be lost in the shade. So now if I don't shift to some instances and all that, you'll tell me, don't call this speaker next time. So anyway, so look at Swami, right? You don't need to be invited to worship him. You don't need to be invited to worship him. He is the most magnetic being on earth. And you and I were the most blessed people to be called. And what did he do? In a nutshell, his life, his mission included 3 major types of interventions. Epic events. I don't know how many of you go and rewatch those videos. Look at that pot that either Swami Karunyanand or in this picture Kasturi ji is holding. And the wrist of Bhagwan never goes in beyond the wrist. The hand of Bhagwan never goes in beyond the wrist. And you will see how many such epic events he performed, not as a performer, but out of love to communicate and to make more tangible, palpable, accessible the otherwise incomprehensible nature of divinity, right? That's the only reason why he performed miracles. In the later years, I was blessed when Swami stopped performing the lingodbhav, the lingams emanating from his body. And when people requested him, Swami, we came to you late, we have never seen this. We heard that one day you removed 18 lingams, one day you removed this lingam. He said, don't worry, I will do it again for you. That is the sweet nature of our Sai. And I was there for 3 or 4 or 5 years. He would be sitting on the stage, bhajans would be going on, he was, participating, and suddenly you could see that there is a disturbance in his body, and then he would start getting a little bit irritated, and then he would tell, and those boys who were around him, don't think it's easy to serve Swami. Yeah, it all looks like great fun to bear the so-called irritation or anger of Swami in those moments. It takes great, those boys were young and small and untrained, but they were doing a job that, the chief of White House staff or others would just be totally unable to do. Sorry to make that connection. But then Swami would get so, start perspiring, start wiping his face. He would tell them, hold the fan, get another fan. And that immense heat that he was enduring for our sake. And then he would saliva would start coming out, would start frothing, and then we knew. And then what would the students do? You know, the beauty and the power and the absorption of that moment was such. The absorption of that moment was such. Nobody had told the students and coached them. They would start the fastest bhajans. You know, Shivaya, Shiva, Shiva, Shivaya. Like that. Those fast bhajans would start where people are clapping. They are, because you are feeling, you are witnessing an event that you cannot buy for $1 million. Today, people are paying millions of dollars to go to space. They just go to space, look at the clouds, go out of orbit, have a little spacelessness, they come back down. Year on year, in the presence of Satya Sai, we were getting those experiences. And then, with great anguish and pain, the lingam would emerge. There are times when the lingam emerged with so much power that it went. I'm not trying to sensationalize this or impress you or anything. This is pure fact. I've been there, I was sitting down there, the person sitting next to me, when the lingam emerged, it emerged with so much force that it went all the way from Swami sitting behind it on the stage all the way down. Such a massive lingam, just bounced like that and came out. And that was all just done in that community of that family of Swami. It was never done to impress. It was never done to advertise. It was never done to make it a issue that people should, see this and come to me. Not at all. In fact, when I look at Swami's life and the way he interacted with all of us, his biggest thing was to sift away those who are not interested and to give those who are sincere, who are willing to learn. And Western ideas and Western philosophy is different. We think we should not submit, but that's wrong. Yes, you should not submit in the classroom to your teacher, to your partner, to your boss, but you have to find out that moment and person to whom you should really submit. And that is the big thing that we were learning there. It was an introduction into finding that being to whom submission is the way to understanding him. So those were the epic events, and we can talk for many hours about the epic events. But what is most important to Swami were the individual connection that he established. And I chose only one of those, and I'll tell you some of my own. That is the story of how. Anybody knows what's the story behind this? Yes, and? Exactly. So you are the next speaker for this group. You have to tell them. So this little girl sitting in the back seat of the car became unconscious and actually died. They were driving away from Puttaparthi and they didn't know what to do, couldn't go back. A group of villagers gathered around the car and there was a man and a woman. They came and gave something and the child revived. And at the same moment, Swami was saying in Puttaparthi that Sudha passed away and I have gone there to help her. And when they asked, who are you? Jodi Adipalli, right? If God were to make it so easy that he can be recognized and put in a museum, right? He's always escaping from us because only Sudha required and obtained his grace. His grace, his touch was only for that pure innocent child. And she continues to sing and perform and talk about this incident. And see, think about it. Sai Baba was never for the public. I was telling Sister Anu yesterday that when Swami had this beautiful relationship with so many people, right? And when Subbalakshmi Garu, this great doyen of Indian music, was asked to speak in Swami's presence. She was like tottering. And see, there are so many organizers, there are so many Sevadals. Everybody thinks they can announce the bio and then she'll come and speak. Only Swami was so present in the moment that he saw her tottering. And this great avatar, at the age of 75, himself got up. Before anybody could reach Subbalakshmi, he gave her his hand. And he led her on the stage. And then he took her to the podium and he said, Matladu, now you speak. And you know, the beauty of that relationship between Sai and his people is, Swami, if you are standing right here, Swami, how can I speak? Right? So, the fact that Swami came to help her, there was no formality between Subbalakshmi and Swami that she had to thank him. Rather, she said, now, Swami, you did your job. Please go sit so I can speak. You know, so that individual connection is incredible. And why did I say Swami wanted to sift the uninterested, sift the unserious? Because during his lifetime, there were only that many hours, and that many hours in the public domain. And during that time, he wanted to give that opportunity to serious people who want to pursue spirituality, but they don't know. And he wanted to become that doorway, that gateway, that portal to spirituality. He didn't come to just teach you bhajans and rudram, and we are today over-indexing on those things. In my mind, that's just the shade around the tree. That's awesome. That cool shade is awesome. But it's not the rudram. It's not the beautiful bhajan. It's not the lovely feeling of doing Supravatam and Nagar Sankirtan, which, by the way, I was in bed when you were all doing Nagar Sankirtan today, because I just couldn't make it. But the thing about this individual connection is that it is never gone, and you don't need to do anything to build it up. You just have to turn your attention to that inner connection. You have to just want it. You don't have to build it. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to read 1,000 books. Oh, I finished Satya Sai Speaks, Satyam Shivam Sundaram, seeking. No. No qualification. No qualification is required. You love Swami. You look at his picture and you say, now Swami, you finished your external mission. Please take me on my internal mission. And that is why I'm talking today about the individual transformation in a different way than he did it for Sudha Raghunathan. And finally, the societal uplift. It was dear to Swami, but I'll tell you when I speak about my journey in the hospital, how even the societal uplift had embedded in it the individual transformation. He was more interested in taking these cardiac surgeons, these students, these nurses, and changing them. Yes, by the way, they would do their job and they would do it very well. There would be low infection rates and low mortality rates and good volume of cardiac surgery done. That's all a given. That's just the shade. That tree, don't forget. So, irrespective of whether you're a cardiac surgeon or perfusionist or nurse or cardiologist, this was another opportunity to find Sai. Find Sai. Now, this great good fortune that we have had is not without riders. Don't think that it is a given. While I said that you don't need to build, buy, or hire somebody to build that connection with Sai, don't get the impression that it's a given. There are a lot of riders. There are many Sai students in the first month of, after having such a difficult time getting approved to be in Swami's college. You know, Swami used to have the list which he would himself tick off the names. Even after that, so many Sai students left in the first month, in the first year, soon after they finished their courses. There are numerous examples of devotees who came, cried when they saw Swami, and then 1 or 2 years later just drifted away. it's very important that we take our lives into our own hands and ensure that this doesn't happen to us. It is not a given. In the Gita, Lord Krishna has said numerous times, out of the millions who seek, a few understand. Out of the millions who understand, one will get me. One will get realization. So, while we are having a lot of joy, fun, realize what spirituality is all about. It's not for nothing that we think about the austerities, the sacrifice. Meera had to leave the comfort of the palace and be on the street. And she continued to worship Lord Krishna. Prahlada had to be thrown off cliffs, had to be, he had so many encounters with death. And then he found the Lord whom he worshipped, right? So don't imagine that just because we came to Sai, and I'm not trying to create a sort of fear, mongering here, or, put up an idea that you may lose it. It's a fact that we may lose it. Many a time, even in the hostel, my only prayer to Swami was, Swami, please ensure that I'm not in your presence and doing wrong things. What would be the value of such an existence? Because I saw it can happen. Don't underestimate the Maya that comes with a spiritual being of that power and that scale. There is a lot of Maya, and Swami used to himself say this a lot, that Meerandaru Mayalo Narra, you are all totally in delusion and illusion. And he used to point at the devotees and say, Veelu Anta, you are like frogs in the well, and they are like bees. They have come to taste the honey. They know that the honey is here. And then see that sweetness of Sai Baba. He was not sort of feeling odd in front of a bees. They come like this. He used to say, like a child, So that is how we got to understand the personality of Swami. And we have the resources. You have these retreats. You have the Sai Center. But what is the biggest thing that we need to do? We need to work with Bhagwan. You need to work with Bhagwan. I have seen in many centers after our talks and when we have sit downs and chats and all that, everybody said, oh, Swami did this for me, Swami is looking after me. I say, what are these guys talking about? This is all abdication. This is nothing but abdication. You are constantly depending on Swami. What about your work? What about my work? No. Swami should help me catch my flight. Swami should get my son in college. My SAT score should be good. My husband's surgery should be good. We are all over the place. This needs to stop. Take a look. Record some of what you are saying. Stop abdicating. He has been doing that forever. And he may do it going forward. There is no guarantee. The unconditional love that Swami spoke about is not that he will keep protecting us, keep helping us catch flights. That's ridiculous. That is mundane existence. He did not come to ensure that our mundane existence is awesome and that you are like always in the air conditioning. He did not come for that. His mission was very clear. Give all my devotees the comfort, the relative comfort of a reasonable worldly life so that they don't have to put their attention constantly there, and so that they start dwelling inside. Even Vivekananda said, how can a hungry man think of God? So Swami has ensured that you and I are not hungry, homeless, not desperate. in search of worldly comforts. But he also put down very clearly that if you are a Sai devotee, you have to look hard at yourself. You have to think about sealing on desires. Many a time, there are opportunities to grow our financial empire. And that's a time at which we have to ask, yes, I can grow my financial empire, but what is happening to my spiritual empire? Do I have any spiritual empire? And how do you measure the power of the spiritual empire? How? You know, the sad thing is, when you close your eyes, you will find that you are a pauper. You are a pauper. You may have a couple of million, 5 million in the bank. You may have reached retirement age with a good 401k. Everything may be nice. Like Swami used to say, Suvidha Gaumni. Everything is nice. Close your eyes and you'll see where you stand. When you close your eyes, either you will fall asleep or a to-do list will appear in your mind. A to-do list, a stupid, ridiculous to-do list will come up. The other thing that will happen is all the unfinished thoughts, like you're in the corridor and you meet somebody after 3 months and you start having a conversation and then they announce, oh, the speaker is starting, then you run in. When you close your eyes, those unfinished thoughts will come. Why? Because this stupid mind has been trained to solve all the problems, so that unfinished conversation with that person you met in the corridor, the mind takes it on itself. Oh, now I have to make a mental note so that when I meet her again, I pick up the threads and there goes my spirituality. Boom, boom, gone. How can you, with all those millions of dollars in the bank, how can you make any spiritual progress when you cannot contain your mind for 1 minute? 1 minute, try it. And why do I have the qualification to challenge you like this? Because I tried it. I burnt my hands. I used to go to the Sai center. I used to shave. I used to wear nice white clothes, pretend I'm a Sai student, drive, go sit in the Jassi City Sai center. That time I was in. I would sing. I would ensure it my shruti is correct, in tal. When I'm driving back from the bhajan, it would occur to me that, hey, I had no attachment to Swami. I never thought of him with love. I never recollected one prized moment. I didn't feel like crying. Why on earth did I go to Jassi City Sai Center? What did I achieve? Mental satisfaction. Pure and simple mental satisfaction. And ask yourselves, in all the work that you do, in all the contribution that you make to the Sai Center, to Seva activities, are you anchoring in Sai consciousness? Are you anchoring in Sai consciousness? And it is hard. It's not going to happen overnight. It is that sort of questioning. Ranima was a great devotee. She was one of 4 sisters who have traveled with Swami in the car. You know, Swami never used to take women in the car, but they were such close devotees. In the early 50s and 60s, she was there with 4 sisters. There were 4 sisters. Swami came to her room in East Prashanti, and there's a lot of resources on Radio Sai you should look at. One day Swami walked into her room and said, "What are you doing, Ranima? What are you doing?" I said, "Swami, I'm attending Suprabhatam, Nagar Sankirtan, Bhajan." You know, we rattle off our list of achievements as if this is what Swami came to make us do. Swami said, "No, Ranima, that is not for you." I said, "Swami, what? I thought this is what I am supposed to do." She used to live in Bhopal. I said, "Swami, in Bhopal I can't do this. I thought this is what I come here to do." No. I want my devotees to do 80% self-examination, self-analysis. If you don't believe me, go read it. I'm not manufacturing this on the fly. And I met Ranima. I listened to her for days. My mother had an opportunity to serve her right till the end. That is a great good fortune that we had living in Patti. These great souls, very great souls. But these are the people to whom Swami gave the secret teaching, which he could not just blurt out in public talks. Right? You understand that, right? If you are giving a talk to a very heterogeneous audience, you cannot talk Vedant and talk about constant integrated awareness, right? Somebody will understand that as CIA, somebody will understand that this guy is off his head, right? You have to talk about these great mystical messages in the right audience. I'll tell you another example. When Professor Bhagya, those of you who don't know, he came from Europe and then he was one of the early professors in our MBA class. When he came there, Swami gave him an interview. So Swami, asked, tell me about yourself. Said, Swami, I'm Bhagya. I come from, I forget which country it was in Europe, Norway or Iceland or something. So there was a little grimace from Swami. Said, not that. Bhagya was like, what's going on here? Said, Swami, I lived in Europe. I worked in this company. Not that, sir. Swami would say like that, not that, sir. And what have you done? What are you doing? Swami, I'm a chemical engineer. I'm first class, first pass from Bombay University. Now Swami was totally irritated. Not that, sir. I'm not talking about that. Swami, what are you asking? What sadhana are you doing? What sadhana are you doing? And when I look back at my 23 years and 3-4 years as Balvika student, what did I miss? Why did I miss it? What was Swami trying to do with these questions? Swami was creating spaciousness. Swami was creating spaciousness in our minds. Our minds, which are cluttered, crazy streams of thoughts. I mean, if I were to enact how our minds are, we'd be like running up and down like crazy. Like yesterday the kids were doing there, right? And that was like low intensity. Swami used to joke, right? Used to come out of the interview room and say, Anta, water bubbles. I'm seeing water bubbles. What is he saying? Your body is like a water bubble. See the truth of that. Today you are here, you are chanting, you are feeling on top of the world. Life is it's just a water bubble. When you blow bubbles, you don't know when it will go, how long it will last. And Swami was telling these subtle Vedantic truths even to primary school children. Life is a water bubble. Body is a water bubble. Seriously, to a primary school kid? Because from that age, when you start putting these ideas into people's mind, and they are not fundamentalistic ideas. You're not trying to brainwash people. These are the equipment which you provide to the kids, which will make them praiseworthy leadership in the future. This is what our kids need. That in the Dalai Lama's ashram, the Buddhist monks are taught meditation from age 5. And when scientists go and measure the memory waves and the mental waves and all that mapping they do, they find that those kids who learned meditation from the age of 5 are totally different. They are creating, you have these DNA streams, right? Like the Neanderthals had a different DNA and how it evolved. Like that, they are saying the meditative human is creating a different stream in evolution. So Swami's message was completely about creating space in your mind. Go to think about it. Don't believe me. When you landed in Puttaparthi, let's say you went from a 4,000 square feet, 3-car garage house here, okay? You went to Puttaparthi. That 4,000 square feet was no use. Even if you were traveling business class, you were all cooped up. Then your mind started thinking about Swami. Then you had those awful bus and train rides. That's the last mile connectivity, right? Then you landed in Puttaparthi. Blistering heat, accommodation office is not welcoming, right? You got a room. From your last trip to this trip, you totally forgot that for namesake it is called a room. There is nothing in that room. There is nothing in the room. And that is how, without your knowing it, your mind started uncluttering. Then you took a wash, you dumped your luggage, you locked your room. Everybody was headed in only one direction. Nobody was going in any other direction. Canteen, isolated. Library, isolated. North Indian canteen, nobody there. Everybody walking in one direction. Then you started to wake up. Oh, I'm not in Phoenix. I'm in Prashanti Nilayam. Everybody. To the right of me is somebody from Europe. To the left of me is somebody from South India. There is Sai Gita walking. Oh my God, this elephant who was able to recognize divinity. And here am I, a human being with a mind, not focusing on Swami. And with all this, Swami turned the dial, turned up the heat. Turned up the heat because you started to unclutter. Then when you went in, there is nothing in Prashanti Nilayam. The stage, there was nothing there. At the most, there was one chair with one handkerchief. No pictures, no videos, no nothing. Mind starts to become silent. You're waiting, your hips are paining, you're squeezed in. You start coming into the moment. When you're comfortable, your mind is blaring loudly with 25 thoughts. Now, it's only the thought about your hips. The heat. Is Swami going to come today or not? That's the only uppermost thought in you. Suddenly there is hope. Darshan music. Swami starts to come out. He ignores you. And still you don't feel bad. What is going on? 17,000 miles. Room without furniture. Bad accommodation office. And Swami is ignoring me. I'm not feeling bad. What is wrong with me? I'm not demanding. Am I changing? Swami goes up to the stage. He calls others for interview. No jealousy. He's calling them, he's not calling me. No jealousy. You start looking at yourself. What is happening to me? And he goes on the stage. He just turns around at this mass of humanity, the sea of humanity, with no instrumentation, with no gadgets, with no social media, with no internet, powerless. Satya Sai Baba is totally powerless. He has nothing. He has a simple robe which is donated by some unknown devotee. No makeup on his face. No makeup. And he just does this to his hands. And people in the audience start sobbing. They lose it. And as his hands go up, You start losing all your thoughts. Every thought, your mind was like the sea of calamities before you stepped into the darshan line. When Swami is raising his hands for no reason on earth, it didn't add $1 to your bank balance, he didn't recognize you in public, your name is not there on any donation board, nobody knows your name in Puttaparthi. But as he raises his hands, which is a totally meaningless gesture in the rest of the world, he is pulling your mind up to new heights. And you just don't know what he has done to you. You have no idea what he has done to you. But what has he done? He created immense space in your mind. Immense space. When you sing a bhajan, when you have a good meditation, what happens to you? There is space in your mind. What is that space? It is the gap between two thoughts that are not going to leave you alone. One thought leading to the other, leading to the third, leading to the fourth, in complete succession. And that is basically another way to say that you're becoming a mental health patient. And then you just save yourself and you come back to normalcy. But what did Sai Baba do to you? Without any payment, cost, investment, when he just raised his hand like that, for no reason on earth, your mind totally got transfixed. And the mind stopped doing its stupid task of problem solving, of recollecting, to-do lists, unfinished tasks. So in those great moments that Swami said, when you come to Puttaparthi, you are putting apart the I. He put apart the I for you. So it is in some ways natural that we as devotees keep on abdicating to him. Swami will look after. Swami is doing, it's quite natural, right? He's a mother who nourished us, he cradled us, he brought us to this point. But remember what he told Bhagya. Not that, sir. We always about our degrees, about our bank balances, about which countries we stayed in. Put aside that. Putting aside the I translates to putting aside all this baggage, tremendous baggage that you and I carry. Huge baggage. There's a very close devotee and he said, Swami, you stop talking to me, why and all that. So Swami called him inside the interview room and told him, pour water for me. And Swami won't say, stop. It's the interview room. It's all getting soiled. He says, Swami, you're not asking me to stop. He had that much wisdom that if Swami had asked him to pour, he should keep pouring until Swami tells him to stop. Swami was so strict. And then Swami said, that is exactly what I was trying to teach you. All these interactions I gave you, maybe there are not even 10 people in the crowd who have had this many interactions as I have given you. But your glass is full of baggage. It's full of vasanas. What are vasanas? Tendencies. Accumulated tendencies. Accumulated. Accumulated for how long? No idea. Why so much accumulation? Only one theory explains it, even if you don't want to believe it. Theory of karma, reincarnation. That's the only thing that explains why we come into this world with so many predilections, so many predispositions, so many pre-made ideas. Mahatma Gandhi's son, the Mahatma Gandhi's son, when the funeral was happening after they shot Gandhiji, the funeral was happening, the pyre was burning. Mahatma Gandhi's son couldn't stand. He was drunk. He was drunk. These are examples of our predispositions. Even being born in the Gandhi of Mahatma Gandhi, which Mahatma Gandhi has been quoted by Einstein. Einstein said, for generations to come, people will scarce believe that such a man walked the earth. But Mahatma Gandhi's own son was tottering, even at that solemn moment of Mahatma Gandhi's funeral. So we all are bringing a lot of baggage, so much baggage. Now, what do we do with that baggage? Can we sit and nip each of those thoughts? No, not possible. Not in this one lifetime you'll be able to come to terms with your mind. It's an impossible task. So we'll see later on what is the answer Swami has given. Okay, enjoy this collage. See what the avatar was doing. What fun for others. For him, it was all work and toil, right? See what he was doing. People use that picture when people are dying or unwell. They say that picture will heal you. That is the power invested in just that picture. You can think about the purity, the love, the compassion, and the power that is there in all of these beautiful pictures. He spent as much time with stars. You know, I had already left the ashram when Swami passed, and I went back on that day, and Sachin Tendulkar, who is like probably one of the world's greatest batsmen and cricketers. I don't know whether you are cricket mad, but I'm sure the rest of these people are pretty cricket mad. Just kidding. So I was there in '93, I think, when Swami had this match held in the Hillview Stadium. But Sachin came there. And it doesn't matter. Sachin is just like another individual like you and me. It just goes to show how Swami had touched people. Sachin was sobbing like a baby. He was sobbing like a baby. The love, the unconditional love that the Sai Avatar gave to one and all. Whoever was destined to come touch him felt the soothing nature of that touch. There you see none other than the President of India, who's no more, Abdul Kalam, great scientist. Incidentally, I was living in Swami's residence when Abdul Kalam ji visited Swami for the convocation. He was the chief guest. And then, you know, normally those of us who are staying the night in Swami's residence, we come in at a certain time and then press Swami's feet for some time and then Swami would retire. That day, we were warned, don't go in. You're not to see what is going on. So, what? Swami is totally transparent. He's an open book. Why is it that way? So I opened the door of the Purnachandra auditorium where Swami was living at that time, just a wee bit. It's incorrect. It's like spying. But I did it. Now what's the point, right? It's years back. I opened it. I'm not exaggerating 1% even. Abdul Kalam was sitting at Swami's feet and sobbing like a baby. Go to think about it. Leave our skepticism, our cynicism, our questions. What is it in Sai Baba that made these great individuals, ordinary individuals, everybody feel that way? So that's what they didn't want us to see, because it's it's an official post. It is not Abdul Kalam. It is the President of India who is crying at Bhagwan's feet. And they didn't want that to sort of get publicized. This is a picture of old Vrindavan. I put it up for Guna's sake. That was a wonderful time, right? Old Vrindavan, we used to sit around the tree, and that great tree is still there, and the Sai Ramesh Hall is being built around it. But it's important to recapture these moments, right? And that is the Jhula festival that you normally see in birthday. And I just want to also show my gratitude. In '91, Swami asked me also to be one of the pushers and of course he told us, you guys are young and strong, push gently. I should not fall off the jhula. Okay, so now let's just, we've gone so much to Puttaparthi, right? I took you into all those mesmerizing moments. I don't know whether any of you are familiar with this song, but songs have their own power, right? So much you speak and do all this, it's fine. But when you sing, it releases some energy. And we go back to that place where we all put apart the I. Even though we didn't know it, we're constantly putting apart the I. So let's sing. I'm not a great singer, I can just manage, but please do join. It's a beautiful day in Puttaparthi. It's a beautiful day in Puttaparthi. This is Puttaparthi. Lovely day, holy day, darshan day. Lovely day, holy day, darshan day. It's a beautiful day in Puttaparthi. All our prayers have been answered. All our prayers have been answered. All our fears go away. Baba's love is flowing around us. Baba's love is flowing around us. Thank you, Swami, for this day. Thank you, Swami, for this day. Internally, it's a beautiful day in Puttaparthi. Every heart is yearning for darshan. Every heart is full of praise. Baba's love is flowing around us. He is serving night and day. It's a beautiful day in Puttaparthi. Thank you for joining me. Thanks. When you look at this song on a lighter note, right, you can make out the Indian touch, right? And I joke a lot with my kids, right? And we used to do that in the hostel too, right? You need to see the lighter side of things. So if you see, right, lovely day, holy day, darshan day, that's what we call in Indian music tihai, right? 3 repeats. So whether it's English or Western song, our touch is not going to leave the song. But it's a beautiful song, right? Because see, the point is today, what happened in Puttaparthi is sort of well covered here, right? And this is your syllabus, guys. All of you, some of you have white hair and you're older, but you're doing an MBA course, right? You're not forgetting that. You're in NAU for Mind on Baba Always, which is your MBA course. So see the coverage here. All our prayers have been answered. See, when you meet Sai, actually speaking, nothing has changed in your worldly situation. Nothing. But in one respect, everything has changed. And there are numerous examples of this. There was one person whose daughter was very mentally ill from Mumbai, and Howard Moffatt has written about it. He went to Parthi, Swami refused to look at him. Days passed. He went back, and daughter opened the door for him. So, even physically, Swami ensured that all our prayers have been answered. But today, as mature devotees, we should tell Swami, no, we have an unfulfilled ask. What is that unfulfilled ask? Swami, in the course of this intense abdication that we do to Swami, you'll make me catch the flight. I'll find parking. What? Sai Baba is to help you find parking, right? In that intense abdication that we have done and got away with, let's ask for this. Swami, you have yet to show me that doorway so that, like when Ravi says, I close my eyes, the to-do list doesn't come up, or I don't start nodding in sleep, right? That is what is the unanswered prayer. And then every heart is yearning for darshan. Look at the parallelism here, brothers and sisters. There is a parallel which if you don't draw, you're missing something big. Every response that Swami gave to us, when this yearning was strong, then things happened. You know how I learned to yearn? From devotees. We used to sit there in the circle at the back of the mandir, and I used to see some devotees in the morning darshan, like this, so intensely chanting something, saying something in their mind. They say, I'm just casually waiting for Swami's darshan, and here's this devotee like so intense. What's going on? And that's when I learned that maybe you don't have to do all the external actions, but when you're sitting for darshan, when you decide to sit for meditation, don't go casual. Don't think that, yeah, this is that check mark that I'm putting on this 15-minute meditation. Go with that intensity. Swami, show me today. Swami, show me today how to put my mind on Baba always. Being awareness, bliss, Atma. What is this? I never paid attention to this. As Sai students in the interview room, sometimes the discourse would become so intense. You know, when we came out, people would think, wow, these guys are so lucky. You know what we used to talk? We used to exchange. The notes that we exchanged were, hey, I counted 29. Other guy would say, I counted 59. So where is the gap? Did you fall off asleep? And you know what was 29 and 59? Mentions of the word Atma. That is what we were counting. Swami is all about Atma. Don't take my word for it. Hear any discourse. Atma is his pet subject. Pet subject of Satya Sai Baba is Atma. You want to become close to Swami? Ask. Swami, don't give me vibhuti. I don't want to see Lingam Abhishek. Help me understand how to go to Atma. How many of us are thinking on these lines? Now I am going to do a show of hands. How many of us are thinking? I saw one hand come up and go down quickly. I'm just kidding. How many others? How many of us, once a day, are paying tribute to our Sadguru by dwelling on his pet subject, Atma? So right now, he got an A, and I am trying to get an A, and there's one more A there, but I don't know what that means. Is it oscillating? Is it steady? Yes. Wonderful, wonderful. And don't get me wrong, I don't mean to make it sound as if Only few of us are qualified to pursue the Atma and Sai consciousness. All of us, brothers and sisters, just go to think back. How many hours you have dedicated to Sai work, peripherally, superficially, intensely, your own meditation, likhit japa, everything. Thousands of hours you have put. I can say it. Just looking at your faces, I know you are all, and everywhere I go to speak. I have spoken in more than 50 places in the US and conducted so many retreats. The one thing that I have seen is the sincerity, the nobility, and the intensity of Sai devotees' love for Swami. So when you think about that, we just have to redirect it, because you couldn't have come back to the Sai Center if you hadn't experienced liberation. I'm not joking. In Seeking Divinity, I can tell you the page number where Swami tells this to his flock, that you have experienced liberation. Then he said, Swami, how can it be? And Swami says there are 3 types of liberation. 2 of them are temporary. 2 of them are temporary. And that is the liberation that you and I have experienced. So when we talk about Vedanta, we all want permanent liberation. We all want to be like a Shankaracharya with his disciples behind. You and I have already tasted it. I'm not making this up just to make a nice speech. And I'll tell you how I found this out. I told you how I was developing that dissatisfaction from my Jersey City bhajan, right? Then I started noticing in my own house that I was putting Swami's pictures in every room, even in the bathroom. And then when my relatives would visit, they would say, oh, so wonderful. You have Swami's picture everywhere. You have 3 pictures on the dining table. What is this huge picture in the altar, right? So the pictures were getting numerous. The pictures were getting larger, because the cost of printing large photographs and framing them is becoming less. That's about it. How does that depict? How is that a measure of my spiritual progress? It is not. And I started thinking about this, brothers, sisters, and I'm telling you, you have to do the same. I'm sure many of you are thinking on these lines. And then what happened? In the Raleigh Sai Center, they saw that I'm saying that, this is not the way to conduct study circle. We should talk more about Swami. So they just casually asked me one day, okay, Ravi, tell us what subject you will take up. Oh, I was caught unawares, and I said, I'll do Master the Mind, be a mastermind. I had no clue what I would do, what I would cover with them. And I reached out to one of the people, Sai devotees I had met in Portland, who has a database on Swami's discourses, Ashok uncle. And he sent me some content. This is what I'm telling you. Sai devotees, we are constantly reading discourses, you have to look for the nuggets. In the discourse, there's something for everybody. There are villagers in the audience. There are managers. There are blue-collar workers. There are vice chancellors. There are presidents in the audience. Swami is saying something for everybody. But in that 1.5 hours, he can only do so much to cater to everybody's needs. In every discourse, there is 1 or 2 lines, which in my mind is an awakening sentence. Now when you go back, and I'm not saying this in a critical way. I read the same thing Dr. John Islop has said, that in Swami's public discourses is something for everybody. You have to search and pick up on those nuggets that can totally change your life. So I started doing that when I started seeing that my photos are increasing in number and size, but my devotion is sagging. And then I had this opportunity to do Master the Mind, be a mastermind. And in that I came across this very powerful teaching that Swami has actually totally hidden from us. Why did he hide it from us? Didn't want to throw it away. Didn't want to waste it away. Swami often said, I am not going to teach you until you are ready. Many times he told us, become ready, prepare yourself, come up to my level, then I will open up cosmic truths to you. Until then, you will not get it. So in Vidya Vahini, I have everything, but I don't want to distract you. In Vidya Vahini, in 1965, that is the only mention of this phrase in all Sai literature that I have read, and I've read a lot. And it's not there in any Sai discourse afterwards. Swami says, this mind has two characteristics. Alochana, which is just simple required planning, right? I have to get to the Nagar Sankirtan, so 6 o'clock it starts. I need so much time to get ready, so I'll get up at 5:15. That is alochana. That is totally fine. Do it. Of course you have to do it. The second characteristic of the mind is why we are all trapped like this. Take this as your mantra, brothers and sisters, as I have done for the last 6-7 years. And I'll tell you how that seeking and that understanding the concept precipitated as an experience. Swami has said, apart from alochana, there is one tendency of the mind called manasika sambhashana. Manasika sambhashana. Sambhashana, in translated in Western thought, is inner talk, mental chatter. And Swami says, this sambhashana can cripple you. It is the cause of aging. It is the cause of sleeplessness. It is the compulsive inner voice of the mind. It is nothing to do with divinity. It is the mind at the lowest level of its operation. Now we as Sai devotees, what did I do? I thought it will be one session. When I first did Manasika Sambhashana in Raleigh Sai Center, after the session, 7-8 people came to me, my wife also. Ravi, you're talking nonsense. I said, what? There is no such thing. There is no, nobody is going to say Swami is wrong, right? What they were trying to say is, this is not such a big deal. I said, seriously? Okay. I posed a simple challenge to all those 7-8 people. Some were doctors. We've never had Sambhashana. It's not such a big deal. I said, okay, do one thing. Take these 3 events in your everyday life. When you're driving, because you can't, of course, people do text and drive, but typically when you're driving, attention on the road. Observe your mind when you're driving. Second thing, observe your mind when you're taking a shower. Now, of course, if you bought an Apple Watch which is shower protected, it doesn't qualify. But generally speaking, you're taking a shower. And third thing is, at the time of meals, when you're sitting down to eat without watching TV, right? Observe the mind. I just told them that. Next session they said, no, conduct this. You know how our organization works, right? They look for feedback. They say, oh, positive feedback, please continue. Negative feedback, please stop this topic. Seriously? This is the blockbuster teaching of Satya Sai Baba. Next session, all those 8 people who had sort of confronted me started the study circle without me. What you said is very true, Brother Ravi. That is compulsive. I said, what? You went from not being able to identify Sambhashana to now telling me in 1 week that it's compulsive. What happened in your family? Any big event, big tragedy? Then yes. So what I was trying to do was to make them understand what I had understood with Bhagwan's grace. Manasika Sambhashana, that inner chatter, is triggered by simple things, some major events, of course, death in the family, a loss of a job. I'll tell you a simple thing. Let's say you are in the Sai Center. Okay, I took a previous example, now I'll take a different example, right? Sai and Naini, so sorry. Sai and Naini, okay? They meet in the Sai Center next week, okay? Naini looks at Guna's eyes, okay? And smiles. And Guna looks down and just passes away. Naini is gone case. Naini is, hey, what happened? Guna and I were like buddies. We organized the whole retreat. What? What's wrong with, what did I do wrong? Is there negative feedback? Is there something of the past which Guna is pulling up now? Oh, I remember now. I spoke with one lady who wanted an extra towel and I told her, how can you do this? Is that the complaint that has reached? All crap. Total imagination. Total nonsense. But Naini's mind is like this. It is like cosmic fire in Naini's mind. And Naini forgets that he has to give Aarti in the center in 10 minutes. That is the power of Manasika Sambhashana. Now that is a demonstration of a very harmless, simple Manasika Sambhashana which is easily contained. It's not going to be big. Guna just looked down because there was a wire and he didn't want to trip, and he's aging because he's my senior. So that's easily resolved, right? They are best buddies. Hey, no, it's awesome. Naini doesn't even ask him, why didn't you acknowledge me? Hey, that's too trivial, man. We are buddies. We go long ways, right? Now what happens? That Manasika Sambhashana, which went to a peak, has subsided, and because in this event it is so well resolved, it's probably gone away forever. Now, you get laid off. Nowadays, layoffs are so bad. Text message, email, all kinds of Friday evening, then your weekend is gone. Imagine your weekend when Friday evening layoff announcement happens, right? And it does happen. It is a reality. Now what will happen? Normally your weekends are the best time because you forgot that on Wednesday your boss told you all sorts of things about your performance. Now I don't have to worry about him till Monday morning, right? So Friday evening Manasika Sambhashana around boss, still at mid-level peaks, but starting to resolve. Saturday morning I have to take my son for tennis. I'm sitting with him in Carnatic music class. Boss forgotten. No big challenge. I can pay the fees for this Carnatic music. No problem. Nice. Go to Sai Center. Wonderful. It's a beautiful day in Puttaparthi. Ananda. Right? Manasika Sambhashana is at its lowest ebb. How is this sea running at low tide for 2 days? No high tide has come. Come Monday morning, emails are flying. Calls are being put on your calendar by people whom you don't know. Right? Manasika Sambhashana, anticipation. So now, let's organize ourselves. What are the triggers for Manasika Sambhashana? What are the triggers? Surprises, things which, uncertainty. Oh, who is this person putting the call? Or why did Guna not respond to me? Uncertainty, inability to explain the moment. What do we say? Conflict, of course. Conflict big time. My son is now growing. He used to listen to me 90%. Now he listens to me 9%, and that 9% is totally threatened to become 0.09% without becoming 0.9%. It's going that down, right? And now that is a long-term Manasika Sambhashana. Your mind knows, hey, this I can't fix initially, right? Immediately. Okay, calls coming up with a person I don't know, I can find out his name, I can look at his, mind takes up that. That is alochana. Manasika Sambhashana. Now, what are we to do as Sai devotees? Yes, it's very crippling. So, first task for us in MBA class is to go and identify in your last 1 year what triggered Manasika Sambhashana. If anybody comes back and says, Brother Ravi, what are you talking about? You get an F in your MBA class. Manasik Sambhashana is for sure. It is taking many different names in Western terminology. Obsessive compulsive disorder, schizophrenia. Lots of different things are there in which it manifests like that. Suicide, when it goes out of hand, right? So please don't waste time, because again, it is Swami's teaching. Now what happened to me? With all this learning and internal dissatisfaction that I was having, photos becoming larger, devotion sagging, I went to 96th birthday. The screen for Swami's video was larger than this. Massive screen for Swami's video. Beautiful Swami's videos were going on. It was late in the evening on birthday, 96th birthday. My hips were hurting. I had friends from 14 years work at the hospital, right? Telling me all kinds of palace intrigues, right? All kinds of inside information. In 3-4 minutes, it struck me. How is this connected with my spiritual journey? How am I pursuing my spiritual journey by sitting here? Puttaparthi is not at fault. Puttaparthi is not at fault. This beautiful video of Swami they are showing is wonderful. I am with Sai students, and there are probably 100,000 Sai devotees here. There's such an atmosphere of Sai, Sai, Sai. But why am I feeling so disconnected from what I know is Sai? In that moment, I became aware of something in my inner consciousness, which I had experienced many, many times, but not hundreds of times, but many, many times. When I used to, when I was doing my undergrad in Parthi, total village, no lights. Used to go to the college library to study, university library. Had a lot of interest in academics. Used to read Scientific American, Nature, read my subject, 2 hours. Then I would be walking back, and power would go. There would be no power. But the walk was shorter than your walk from your dorm to here, even shorter than that. Carefree, rubber slippers, just nothing to care for. Morning, we were in Swami's environment, totally carefree. At that time, I knew, I had sensed that something within me. And in 96th birthday, when I was dissatisfied with what I was getting, and it was nothing to do with the environment, it was nothing to do, nothing was changed. I was in the same environment which I thrived in, which I grew in, which I made my spiritual journey. But at that moment, I became aware of something in my inner space which I have experienced many times in the past. But I always gave other ideas more importance. For instance, because I had read so many books, I thought, oh, I'll hear the sound of the Murali. Cross mark. No sound of Murli. Sound of Murli is only in the mind. I will see Swami's image very clearly in my mind. Cross mark. Swami's image is in the mind. What is there in my inner space which is not gathered up by me through the senses? But what is His presence? How do you recognize His presence? The union, but there is some distance to cover there. So that is what I found. Now when I finished that day, I knew that I have a choice before me. Many times over those years that I spent with Swami, I had felt an exhilaration, a union, an elevation, but I had always mistaken the tree, the shadow for the tree. I had basked in the coolness, the comfort, the upliftment of the tree and totally forgotten the tree. Now, when I experienced that, I don't want to give it a name. Why? Because the moment I give it a name, we will create an image of it. And the moment you create an image of it, then you will describe it. So it is a stillness, it is a presence, it is a dhvani, as they say in Vedanta, it is pranava, whatever it is. I'm not interested in naming it. I'm interested in deepening it. Since 96th birthday, I have had only one sadhana. And this I'm not sharing with you. I'm standing a little bit higher than you. I'm not higher than you in any way. I'm sharing with you because I told you about the pathway to this spiritual hunger. And I show you a beautiful letter I have. Swami wrote about spiritual hunger. The spiritual hunger that you and I started with, we are today distracted. We lost it. We don't have that spiritual hunger. And I know what we'll do. We'll blame Swami. Swami, you are not giving me spiritual hunger. Are you? Spiritual hunger, He'll give you the food. You got to have the hunger. How can you feed an unhungry person? So the spiritual hunger is our job. And then I got this opportunity to do master the mind, be a mastermind. And I came across this secret teaching. Alochana, harmless. Sambhashana, harmful. Identify what triggers it. Find out how to avoid it, or if you can't avoid it, how to manage it. This has been my sadhana for so many, 2, 3, 5 years now. And then, I don't know whether it's true, but because of that sincere quest, 96th birthday, and the dissatisfaction. When there is dissatisfaction, then you are open to seeing what you are ignoring all this time. You see? And the best way I have found to explain it is not to delight in the shadow of the tree, but to look at the tree. Don't look at the shadow. The shadow is going to move. As the sun moves, you are basking in the shadow. Suddenly you find you are out of the shadow because you are not following the tree. Go embrace the tree. When you embrace the tree, you are always in the direct shadow. The direct coolness of the tree doesn't change even when the sun is moving. You understand what I'm saying? So that Manasika Sambhashana should become one of your first journey steps. And don't do it because I brought it up. I'm going to give you the resources. Please don't have a doubt that this is something I'm manufacturing, or oh, these boys, they got a lot of swamis, this thing, now they are trying to, create some, sensational new idea. Not at all. Not at all. Look at this. I often tell you not to identify me with this particular body. You do not understand. You call me by only one name, and I have only one form. But there is no name that I do not bear, and there is no form which is not mine. But that is okay. But let me show you and then bring you back to some incidents quickly and then conclude, right? I have so much content, and I always do this bad job of covering content. But let me just show you that. Meanwhile, you are anyway seeing what is happening there. I'll show you that how Swami described Manasika Sambhashana. 1 minute. Bear with me, I'm so sorry. I'm not able to find it right here. Do you, in the meanwhile, have any questions on Sambhashana that quickly I can answer while I'm just opening that up? Anybody? Sure.
So this embracing that stillness, that doesn't mean tree, which is like a immovable object. So that doesn't mean the stillness is physical. That stillness can be.
The stillness is not at all physical. See, brother, all our lives, just because it is easy, we have chosen physical. Just because it is easy. See, you and I'm pretty sure I can say this on everybody's behalf. You and I are all seeking a higher truth. Call it Vedant, call it Spirit, Holy Spirit, whatever you call it. All of us know. But we lost our way. Because of the easy, right? Very easy to, and then self-satisfaction. These two things are very dangerous. Easy to get, so you do it, right? And self-satisfaction overtakes us. So basically what I tell Sai devotees when I interact with them, and see, it's not easy, right, to say this, because immediately when I say this, people will think, hey, what is this guy saying, right? Bear with me. See, I'm also totally worshipping Swami. In fact, as a Sai student, when I walked around the campus, there's a big Sai picture in every building. Internally, I would bow to every picture. That is my orientation to Sai's physical. So for me also, it was a big change. It was making a very big transition. But I realized one thing which I'm going to tell you is that don't confuse inertia for loyalty. Understand what I'm saying well. Don't confuse inertia for loyalty to Swami. And Swami doesn't need our praise. Swami is not hungry for people to praise him. That's not what he lives on. Swami said, bliss is my food, right? And that's not the bliss you and I create. That's the bliss he creates. That is his food. In Kodaikanal, Swami spoke to us and told us, you know how much power goes when I create objects, but I don't subsist on your food. He would just take a couple of bites and be on his way, So, to your point, brother, and I'm glad you asked. See, we have to be very observant. Now the time has come. We stocked up with videos, resources, discourses, plenty. I did sadhana hour 2 weeks back, and I showed some nice resources. So many devotees wrote to me. This is where I get upset. They said, brother, can you please keep giving us more resources? I said, what more resources? This is the resource, and I'm not saying the resource because I'm giving it to you. Leave me out of the equation. You don't need any more resources. Whole avatar's life is in Radio Sai on YouTube. Whatever resources you want. What is missing? Missing is your collaboration. Missing is our work, our desire to walk this path internally and to make use of the external guidance, external nudges, external resources, time to time. See, you hear a beautiful bhajan, right? That Hum Sab, that song. One line will make you cry. Like when I went in front of Swami's gown to take namaskar, I never thought that, I should just show this audience that I'm so emotional. Nonsense. If you are able to connect with that entity which is within us, which is shining within us, which is not a result of anything that you saw, read, heard, imagined. Saw, read, heard, imagined. Put check cross marks on anything. When you close your eyes, put a cross mark on anything that you saw, read, heard, imagined. And you'll see, we are all paupers. We're paupers. We have never examined our inner space enough. I'm not saying you have never examined. All of us are examining our inner space. But we have not found that. And what is that we have to find? CIA. It's not a fashionable thing that, I make this audience search for the answer, then I tell them CIA is the answer. No. CIA is 3 words. It's useless. That is not the answer. That is again physical. CIA, constant integrated awareness, is 3 words which have spellings and meanings. The reality, why did we worship Swami so much? When he was just doing this, and we were all flying just with 4 fingers going up. Why? Because not physical. Constant integrated awareness is not 3 words. Who am I, which Sri Ramana Maharishi taught, is not a question. It's a search. Let's say you have to leave now for Phoenix and you don't know where your car keys are. You don't go and say, where are my car keys? Where are my car keys? Where did I leave my car keys? Did I leave them in my... Is that what you do? That's ridiculous. How are you going to do, who am I, who am I, who am I, who am I? Who am I is 3 words which have spellings. It is a little bit subtler than pure physical. When I say physical, it is tiles and... No, this is also physical. So, when you look in the empty space of our mind, what is not seen, heard, read, imagined, and which is not physical, which doesn't have name and form, and which is dependable, which is not created by me, right? So anyway, I owe it to you guys to show you that resource. I will, but can I take 5-7 minutes? No?
Yes.
5-7 minutes, just because, I don't want them to feel that Ravi didn't have any experiences and he's just giving us all this philosophical stuff, right? So let me just walk you through a few things, and I think that's the rightful place of these. Those were my 2 boys when they were younger. That just flashed up. So I was in Mumbai in '79, and I was really I was hurtling downwards. I was totally losing, I was becoming enmeshed in a lot of bad company. And that's the time in which I saw Swami for the first time in Dharmakshetra. And I was totally disinterested. I had made up my mind, I'm not going to do anything with this guy. And I was sitting the last person in Dharmakshetra. And there must be about 20,000 to 25,000 people. I was the last person. Nothing sensational happened. Swami came all the way down, just stood there. Dharma Kshetra, that is Swami's ashram in Mumbai, which he established in the 60s. And he would come there like 2-3 times a year. So since I was from Bombay, I first saw him there. So, but the funny thing is, I had made up my mind not to do anything more with Swami, and I didn't know anything about him. But I don't know what happened to me when I just saw him stand there like this in that crowd. After the darshan, I went up to my mom and I had gone. I said, I don't know if there is anything called God, this must be it. And she was like, what? This is a 7th grader, what is he saying? Right? And that's where my journey started. And then these great Balvikas gurus, right? They are the ones to whom I owe everything, honestly. Had it not been for these Balvikas gurus who came into my life, who showed me that selfless love, encouragement, and incidentally they taught me Bhaja Govindam, Gita and all that, but those are the individuals who shaped my urge to join Swami's college. And I had this opportunity to speak in a suburb called Ghatkopar. And then, see, why does Swami do things like that? What an honor that the Divine Lord is looking at you, right? But why does he do this? He does it to help us feel that we are all meaningful in his mission. We all have a role to play. And again, that role is not physical. That role is not bombastic. That role is not as the world recognizes it. You and me are playing a role here by reflecting the spiritual vibrations that Sai emanated. That's all. That is enough. That is a lot. And when we start understanding that it's not physical, what we are doing as Sai devotees is really saving the world in our own way. But anyway, after this, I sat down at his feet. He materialized Vibhuti. He told me, be careful when I was taking namaskar. This stool has very pointed edges. You'll hurt your head. Right? Now imagine, there are 50,000 people in front of Swami. There's a little boy, right? Just a little boy. And he's saying, don't hurt your head. And then when I sat, he made me sit to his left. And a couple of times, just rubbed my spine. And then I asked him what was uppermost in my mind. Swami, I want to come to your college. It was a childish thing. And Swami said, of course, you can come. And what grade are you in? I said, Swami, I'm in 8th grade. He said, yeah, when you finish your 10th grade, you can come. And then I said, but Swami, my father doesn't believe in you. There on the stage, 50,000 people in front of Swami. But Swami, my father doesn't believe in you. And what's happening is, after me, there was an older girl speaking. So she was so angry with me later. She told me, Ravi, you were constantly chatting with Swami. I also wanted a picture like this where Swami is looking at me. But, you know what he said? He just looked down at me and he said, Father ko andar mein devotion hai. Mother has lot of devotion on his own. See, one person, nobody, even I didn't know in that crowd where are my mom and dad. And Swami is telling me, Father ko andar mein devotion hai. Your dad has lot of devotion. It's inside. You can't see it, I can see it. But I know your mother has devotion. That is expressed. So anyway, that was the beginning. This is where I landed amongst these wonderful worshippers of Sai, right? They are not Sai's army. They are the kids who only wanted to be around Swami. And this is after a soccer game. Literally, when Swami came out of this huddle that he had with us, this picture, there were sweat marks on Swami's robe. So that's how close we got to him. And these are just other pictures. That's the great Sundar Iyer along with us in that drama. I got really lucky because in my first year also joining Swami's college, I was in Sundar's room. And I'm saying it without hesitation, right? Sundar is not just one student. Sundar is a wonderful reflection of Sai, right? That's what we have to become. I'm not intending to put the torchlight on Sundar, but I do want to acknowledge the role he played in shaping my understanding of Swami. Every evening, he would write something and put it in a golden envelope and put it in. We had like a ridiculously small altar in our cupboard, and then he was doing portico duty, meaning he was in Swami's interview room. And I saw this day after day, and I said, Sundar, what are you doing? You go and meet Swami every day, but you're writing something in a golden envelope and keeping it in your altar. I said, I'm trying to cultivate that feeling that I am communicating with the Sai within me, Ravi. So what? What is all this? It was new to me. And then he would wake up at 2:30 in the morning. And once or twice I saw him do that. Swami had come to the hostel and inaugurated a meditation room. So Sundar would be the only boy amongst 400 kids going there to meditate. And then I also had the courage and told him, Sundar, wake me up also, I'll try. So I would also join him sometimes in that meditation. But all in all, I want to say that, these SSC gurus, my own parents, of course, my mother to a large extent, and individuals, right? Though no individual makes any impact in comparison to the impact that Swami made in our lives, a lot of individuals I have looked up to, including Anil Kumar sir, Professor Nanjundaya, many individuals who I was totally blessed to be there at that time and place and interact with these people. Okay, Guna is getting a heart attack, so I'm going to stop with this slide. Okay, so this is a beautiful picture. In 1986, Swami set up the brass band, and we had so many opportunities to interact with Swami through this. But we were so bad at music that we used to practice 16 hours a day. I'm not exaggerating. And we were so keen to make it happen that, we didn't know how to read music. And we had some military folks from, military band come over and teach us. But we were so sincere. And you can see wonderful individuals. I'm there on the left, serious boy with thick glasses. And lots of interactions we had. See, each of these, as many speakers must have told you, right? In and of itself, none of these things were important, right? Many of your kids are in the brass band or learning music. Think of these just as opportunities to go get a glimpse of the avatar, right? Go see the avatar. Go find out a little bit more about him. That's what it was. So Swami would come 3-4 times a day. And he would joke with us. First time, it was about a week after we took up our instruments, he brought Sunil Gavaskar, the great cricketer. And he asked us to play. And we could not play at all. Some of us, we couldn't even take out a single note, right? These reed instruments. And Swami is so like wanting to beat us up, but has to protect us, So in front of Gavaskar, and then later on he brought even Nani Palkiwala, the great lawyer. And Swami is sort of justifying that, no, 1 week they have not done anything, they are only marching. Now only they tried to play for. Wow, Sai Baba is going to save you, what else, right? They all believe Swami, right? And we are actually struggling to get a single note out. And then I'll stop with one last incident, right, in this context. And then maybe I'll continue in the afternoon because I strayed from my subject a lot. But thank you for staying invested, right? This Manasik Sambhashana is not an easy thing. And I brought it up front in my talk, so I acknowledge you guys' interest because I'm watching you all, right? And the moment I get any negative signals, right, not in a bad way, right? You can't take this anymore, right? But you are awesome. You are awesome. But I'll tell you one last thing, fun thing, right? So that you remember me for a little bit of humor and fun also. So Swami stitched these new band dresses for us. I don't know how many of you noticed. See, this is the only band in the world that says, see, when you look at a picture, look at that. Sri Satya Sai Baba. This is not anybody's band. This is Bhagwan's band, right? And what he did was, he called us to the Purnachandra auditorium. He had called a number of great tailors to stitch this. Because imagine, Puttaparthi is a village. And Swami won't let us out of his sight, right? He won't send us to a city because he's like, he wants us to soak in with bhajans, darshan, meditation, all that. So he got the tailors to Purnachandra auditorium. So Purnachandra auditorium, they were lined up like this, tailor after tailor. And they were taking measurements. And imagine, right? Now this is Bhagwan, right? And you have to put your shirt up, right? To take the measurement of your waist. How will you can't see where my waist is, right? So all that was happening, and Swami was making jokes. Say, Bhag tinesi vachevara, you nicely ate and came, right? And all that. Now, how will the tailor take measurements? All measurements will go wrong, right? So anyway, after a week, they stitched that stuff for us. And then we went to the auditorium. Now we were all in a quandary, right? We were, as you can see, quite a few students. And we were just staring, well, how do we put these clothes on? You can't wear them over your white clothes. So Swami said, no, you go to the green rooms. You know, the Pune auditorium has a stage with green rooms. So we went, and one by one, we were changing and coming out. And what Swami did, the way he arranged it, he stood down and we came out from the green room onto the stage. And Swami had his like joke or nasty comment, whatever you want to call it, ready, you know. So each one, and nobody knew, right? Because we were all standing inside. So we didn't know all this tamasha is happening there. And one guy came out and his pant was like a little bit like this flappy. So Swami said, oh, he stitched Sai Gita's ears onto your pant. And the tailors and the boys who were down there, like, hilarious. Sai Gita's ears are stitched here. So another guy came out and Swami said, oh, Swami became very serious. You look like Sai Baba. You should go and give darshan. Devotees are waiting for so long. So like that, he made so many jokes. And then see what happened is, we demanding students, we said, Swami is in you captured Swami, right? It's all a shuttered auditorium, nobody else. Just this many boys and few tailors who are maybe not even devotees. Swami, we want namaskar. Swami, we want namaskar. Swami. No, I'm not going to give you namaskar now. What? He's like so pliable and flexible and he's saying no. And then, he said, see boys, you have to be subtle. You have to understand things. Don't just be demanding just because you are next to me. Can you even think even of the physical reason why Swami is not saying? What is the physical reason? Purnachandra auditorium is very dusty. In 2 days you have to wear these uniforms and play. See? So, oh my God. So with that, you understood, all of you understood, right? I got these new uniforms stitched for you and yeah, you want namaskar. And namaskar is a big thing, but it get dusty, right? So that subtle ability of Swami, he was so present in the moment, right? He was not carried away with our devotion or with so many boys requesting him. Then what he did, because he had sort of hurt us, right? So he went up to the stage and he said, come on, now, so imagine I'm standing here, right? Now none of us had to put our knees on the floor and we could all file past him and touch his feet. So the lesson I took away from that is that, yes, you should be demanding, but you should be practical. And Sai will always find a way if your desire is honest and, focused on him, right? He came only to give of himself. So why would he hold back? So he found a way for us to partake of that time with him again. So with this, I'll end. Anyway, it'll be like a continuation, hopefully, in the next talk. And if my wife had heard this talk, she would give me 0 marks. She would have said, Ravi, what did you start with? Where did you go? What did you cover? Right? But that's the role of wives, right? Okay. Sai Ram, thank you. We'll talk soon.